पाशतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दा निकुञ्जयूनु रतिकेलिसिद्ध्यै यायालिभिरुक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रार्तिदक्ष्यादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैः उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्य प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान् न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन् स्तुवंस्तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्या वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंद। हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I
Hare
leave?
Krishna Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you
Okay,
so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
श्री नरसिंहा जय नरसिंहा जय जय नरसिंहा। प्रह्लादेश जय पद्मा मुख पद्मभृङ्गा। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शीलटङ्कानखालाय इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे नखा अद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा माताजी, प्रणाम्स टू यू। Hare Krishna. Mataji, anybody wants to do Jai Radha Madhav? Please go ahead, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Krishna.
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी प्रणाम प्रभु जी वेलकम टू द ICF फोरम हरे कृष्णा over to you प्रभु जी
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam, Mataji, Hare Krishna to everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. Right. So are we good to start?
Yes,
हरे कृष्णा
Prabhuji.
yes प्रभु जी
Can you hear me?
yes प्रभु जी we can hear
Okay. Om Jnananandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rup Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminithi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauramani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Taptakaञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां one second हरे कृष्ण
Right now. हाँ. वैसा नहीं हुआ जैसा होता है.
Namita Mataji and Nandini Mataji, Prabhuji is on mute. I think he had some another call, so that's why you got.
Hare Krishna. Sorry. My mother, she slipped and, in the bathroom. So I had to, attend to her. So now she is okay.
She's okay, Prabhuji? She's okay?
Yeah, she's okay. I just checked and it looks like, she sprained her leg because she was sitting on a chair. She can't, stand in the bathroom. So the
Oh,
chair twisted a little and then, she slipped. But she didn't fall, like badly or anything. There was a sprain. So I just, put her to rest on the bed and I said, I'll just come back in some time.
Krishna's mercy, Prabhuji. She didn't fall. She didn't have a big fall.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare
You'll be
Krishna.
fine. My wife is there. Should not be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Just to be more careful, if they can give, warm, तवे पे, you garam करके कपड़ा सेक.
Correct.
And let her keep her leg raised. That means she should not hang her legs. These two
Okay.
things can ensure quickly.
Okay.
It'll be of great help.
Okay. Raised in the sense how? Is it like stretched?
Yeah, she should not put her leg down,
Ah,
and if her be on the bed and put a pillow below her leg.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Push,
I,
just little raised, so
yeah.
little raised, then her body level.
Okay.
1 feet is fine.
Okay. I'll just quickly come in a minute then. Yeah.
Yes. And sake is important.
Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. We all will pray for Prabhuji's mother. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Mataji, somebody can
Krishna, Hare
sing
Hare,
like
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
mantra.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna If any
Hare
Mataji,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna, Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare. Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Rama
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare.
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare, Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Mataji,
Krishna
Prabhuji has
Krishna,
joined.
Hare Hare. Hare
Sorry to
Hare.
disturb when you're chanting.
Thank
So
you,
we
Krishna.
can start, right?
We are
Yes,
chanting for Mother Prabhuji for to recover soon.
Okay. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यमते पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी So we are reading today from 4:8:61 to 65. Maybe Mataji, you can share.
Is it visible, Prabhuji? The screen I've shared.
Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
Mata. Hare Krishna, Mataji is volunteer for reading shloka, translation and purport. Hare Krishna. Should we read the purport also, Prabhuji?
Yeah, purport
Hare
of the first one. First, I will complete 61, and later on we will do 62 to 65 later.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. विरक्तश्चेन्द्रियरतौ भक्तियोगेन भूयसा तं निरन्तरभावेन भजेत्ताद्धा विमुक्तये विरक्तश्चेन्द्रियरतौ भक्तियोगेन भूयसा तं निरन्तरभावेन भजेत्ताद्धा विमुक्तये विरक्तश्चेन्द्रियरतौ भक्तियोगेन भूयसा तं निरन्तरभावेन भजेत्ताद्धा विमुक्तये. Yes, we can read the translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Sudha Mataji, you can read the translation. Purport, Barnali Mataji, you can read, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sudha Mataji, you can call out the devotees, Mataji, if possible.
Hare Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If one is very serious about liberation, he must stick to the process of transcendental loving service, engaging 24 hours a day in the highest stage of ecstasy, and he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are different stages of perfection according to different persons' objectives. Generally, people are karmis, for they engage in activities of sense gratification. Above the karmis are the gyanis, who are trying to become liberated from the material entanglement. Yogis are still more advanced because they meditate on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And above all these are the devotees who simply engage in this transcendental loving service of the Lord. They are situated seriously on the topmost platform of ecstasy. Here, Dhruva Maharaj is advised that if he has no desire for sense gratification, then he should directly engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The path of apavarga or liberation begins from the stage called moksha. In this verse, the word vimuktaye for liberation is especially mentioned. If one wants to be happy within the material world, he may aspire to go to the different material planetary systems where there is a higher standard of sense gratification, but real moksha or liberation is performed without any such desire. This is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by the term uh, anna abhilashita shunyam, without desire for material sense gratification. For persons who are still inclined to enjoy material life in different stages on different planets, the stage of liberation in bhakti yoga is not recommended. Only persons who are completely free from the contamination of sense gratification can execute bhakti yoga or the process of devotional service very purely. The activities on the path of the upper varga, upper varga, up to the stages of dharma, artha, kama, and are meant for sense gratification. But when one comes to the stage of moksha, the impersonalist liberation, the practitioner wants to merge into the existence of Supreme, but that is also sense gratification. When one goes above the stage of liberation, however, he at once becomes one of the associates of the Lord to render transcendental loving service. That is technically called vimukti. From this specific vimukti liberation, Narad Muni, for this specific liberation, Narad Muni recommended that one directly engage himself in devotional service. Hare Krishna, Dhanavad Pranams, Prabhuji's, Mataji's.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
विरक्तश्चेन्द्रिय रतौ भक्ति योगेन भूयसा तम निरंतर भावेन भजे ताद्धा विमुक्तये. So if somebody is if one is very serious about liberation, generally we are not serious. Majority of the practicing devotees sadhakas also 99% of the sadhakas who are practicing devotional service, they are not serious. They are not very serious. They may be serious, but they're not so very serious about liberation and serving the Lord in the spiritual world. It doesn't happen. But it is more of frustration with the material world, which is okay, which is good, because we need to be disgusted with the material world to have some better positive impetus for us to practice devotional service. But material world disgust alone is not sufficient enough for one to be sufficiently serious about spiritual life, about liberation, about going back to Godhead. So here, now who is speaking this? Can anybody tell me who is saying this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Narada Muni.
Narada Muni, Prabhuji?
Narad Muni.
No,
Dhruva,
this
Dhruva
is
Maharaj?
spoken by Maitreya Muni, Maitreya to Vidura. Yeah, Narada spoke in the beginning part of the chapter, and the last few verses, including this one, is spoken by Maitreya. So Maitreya is talking about the conversation between Narada and Dhruva. So he's saying that yes, when one is very serious about liberation, he must stick to the process of transcendental loving service. Because Narada gave him the process, he gave the process to Dhruva, and Dhruva was. Let me just summarize, in at least for my own benefit. I'm sure you all may be hearing. So this chapter begins with how Maitreya is describing about the lineage beginning with Swayambhu Manu, and he has 5 children, Akuti, Prasuti, Devahuti, and then Uttanapad and Priyavrat. And then Uttanapad's lineage, how he has Suruchi, Sunuti, and then he has Uttama and Dhruva. And Dhruva was offended because he was not allowed to sit on the lap of his father. And then Dhruva, appears like, hissing like a snake, so much affected, hurt. He goes down to his mother, and mother is also kept far away. She is also there in, in another place where outside the palace, they have made a, cottage for her. And she is, told that how Dhruva was insulted, and Dhruva comes crying. And then she tells him, she makes a very beautiful statement. One second, I'll tell you. Uh, 4.8.17. Yeah. The 17th verse of this chapter. She says, Ma mangalam tat pareshu mamstha bhungte jano yat paradukhadasta. Ma amangalam. Do not wish any inauspiciousness for anybody, my son. Tata. And she also says, Bhungte janoyat paradukkhatastat. It means that anybody who is actually hurting another person, you don't have to take any action against him. You don't have to become upset because they will continue to suffer the reaction of their own, harsh behavior. And they themselves will be put in a situation where they will experience the reaction of their own harshness. So one should not be. What a beautiful, instruction by mother of Dhruva. She says, don't take any action. Don't be, envious. In the 19th verse also, Suniti is telling Dhruva that Athishta tattata vimatsarastvam uktam samatrapi yadavyalīkam आराधयाधोक्षजपाद पद्मम् यदिच्छसे ध्यासनमुत्तमो यात्. She is telling, Athishtat vimatsatvam. Do not become envy. Do not become envious of your brother. Do not become envious of your father. Because, he was hissing like a snake. He was so upset. His mother warned him, don't become envious. And uktam samatrapi yad avyalikam. And whatever your whatever your stepmother spoke, it is absolutely correct. It is factual. It is truth. You have to worship the Supreme Lord. She has already given you the solution, and I am reiterating the solution. That because you are upset, your only solution is you have to worship the Supreme Lord, just like your stepmother has spoken. And she spoke the truth. Because you are not born from her womb, you are unfortunate that you are born from my womb, and I am not considered as a respected queen of the king. So I am staying far away from the palace. So it is your misfortune that you are born from my womb. So if you really want to be sitting on the lap of your father or on the throne, then your stepmother has spoken the truth. You follow her. And she says, Aradhayadhokshaja padapadmam. Worship the lotus feet of Adhokshaja. Yadichase dhyasanam uttamoyat. So along with Uttama, you will be able to sit on the asanam, on the throne. So you will be able to sit together with Uttama. Not that you replace Uttama, you throw away Uttama, and then you will be the only king or you'll be the only the favorite of your father. Not like that. Three beautiful statements where she says, never become envious. Second, follow your stepmother, worship the Supreme Lord, and then share the throne with your brother. This is how, Suniti instructs her son. So that shows the character of Suniti. She was a very elevated lady. And then he goes away into the forest and then he's searching. At that time, Narada approaches, when somebody is very determined, that is when, the spiritual master comes. And Narada, 1 second, let me tell you. Verse number 26. Yeah. Narada is telling, Aho teja kshatriyanam manabhangam amrishyataam balopyayam hrida tatte yatsamatur asadvachaha. Oh, how wonderful are the kshatriyas, the powerful kshatriyas. They can't even tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, this boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother proved unbearable to him. Generally, children, when you scold them, they will be upset for a minute, for a second or two, and then they will become normal. They don't take it very seriously. But this child is so small that he's so much upset, he's unable to forget, he's unable to tolerate that harsh, how powerful Kshatriya is, how much he is affected by the bodily concept of life. He has such a great false ego that he's so much upset that now he is, seeking for a solution. And then in the 27th, Narada says, नाधुनाप्यवमानं ते सम्मानं वापि पुत्रकाः लक् लक्षयामः कुमारस्य शक्तस्य क्रीडनादिषु. My dear boy, you are only a little one whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by the words insulting your honor? So Narada is trying to discourage him. And then he says, Vikalpe vidyamane pi nahya asantosha hetava pumso mohat rite bhinna yalloke nija karma bihi. This is 28th verse, where it's telling, my dear Dhruva, if you feel that the sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of the illusory potency of the Lord, Maya. Every living being is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering. So, according to your karmic reaction, you are getting what you deserve. So, if you are getting honor or dishonor, it is all because of the past karma. And anyway, this is Maya. This is illusion. It is putting you in illusion because in the bodily concept of life, because we identify with the body, we become disturbed by happiness and distress, by fame and infamy, by mana and apamana. So you're controlled by the dualities. So still there is no question of having to become dissatisfied because you have to bear it. Then Narada says in the 29th verse, परितुष्ये ततस्तात तावन्मात्रेण पूरुषा दैवोपसादितं यावत् वीक्षेश्वरगतिं बुधः. The process of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept that process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable, by his supreme will. So, Narada is telling Dhruva, he is speaking about the philosophy of how yad bhavyam tad bhavatu iva yadabhavyam na tad bhavet iti nishchita buddhanam chintana badate kvachat. One who knows that what is going to happen will happen, and one who knows what is not going to happen will not happen. Iti nishchita buddhanam, the intelligent person, chintana badate kvachat. He will never be disturbed by anxiety, stress, or he will not be disturbed of having to bring about a solution for the problems that he's facing, because he knows it has already been ordained to me by the Supreme Lord because of my previous karma. Yad bhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmano rupam. Because of the previous karma, one experiences this. But it takes a great soul only to accept that, whatever comes. So Narada is actually recommending this to Dhruva, that you tolerate it, whether it is favorable or unfavorable, one should learn to tolerate it. But Dhruva says, your instructions have been very wonderful, very beautiful, but I am not for it, because not that because I'm arrogant, I am unable to practice humility of following your instructions because I am covered by ignorance. And it is not my mistake, because I am born in a Kshatriya family. And in Kshatriya family, I am, very passionate. And so I am unable to follow your instructions. Those instructions are probably for a Brahmana to follow, but I cannot follow. Please give me a solution. Please help me. Please give me a solution by which I can attain a position which is greater than that of my fathers, grandfathers, and great grandfathers like Brahma. So give me a solution by which, I can, cross over. So Narada, seeing the determination of Dhruva, such a small child, and with such great determination, he has come to worship the Supreme Lord Narayana. Narada was amazed. He tried to, discourage him, telling that, you're just a child. You should be engaged in frivolous activities, in sports. And not only that, Narada also tells him that great yogis for many lifetimes, they tried to attain the Lord by meditating on Him, but they have failed. Indirectly, he's telling those yogis only have failed after many lifetimes. And who are you? You are, after all, a child. So just go home and play. Play some sports. It is not for you. Austerities are not for you. But that is when Narada says, no, I am not. So please give me a solution by which I can worship the Supreme Lord. So that is when, Narada gives him the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya to be chanted. That is the Brahma Taraka mantra in the age of Satya Yuga, which was used by Dhruva. He meditated for 6 months, and the last 3 months he didn't even take any leaves or fruits or anything. He stopped even breathing air for a few days. He had a gap in breathing air, but later on he even stopped that gap. I mean, he stopped even breathing. So that is how, Dhruva, he meditated on the Supreme Lord. And the process given by Narada is also very beautifully mentioned. It is there in the verse number 57. In the verse number 57, he says, Dhruva, you should worship the deity. So Dhruva had made a deity out of mud, out of earth, and he was worshipping. He was not simply plucking leaves and fruits from the trees and eating. No, no, no. He was offering. He was offering the fruit to the deity. He was worshipping the deity, and then he was taking the fruit. And then later on, he stopped that also. And he was also chanting the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And he was also meditating on the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord in all his different incarnations. He was doing all the three. That means basically he was doing smaranam, he was doing shravanam, and he was also doing archanam. So he was following the three processes of devotional service. So this was a process given by Narada. And then we come to our today's verse where in 61, Maitreya is telling how if somebody is serious about liberation, he should stick to this process of devotional service 24 hours a day. In the highest stage of ecstasy, like in the stage of asakti, bhava, and prema. Because 24 hours a day is not possible in anartha nivritti, in nishtha also, in ruchi also. It is possible only in asakti, bhava, and prema. So in the highest stage of ecstasy, and he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. Basically, this verse is speaking about pure devotional service, not mixed by karma and jnana. So anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma adi anavratam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. So highest bhakti, the uttama bhakti, the perfection of bhakti is it should not be mixed with the tinge of jnana and karma. It should be completely purely for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So when somebody practices such a bhakti, then it is possible for him to be completely be purified and also become fully serious about liberation and then attain the lotus feet of the Lord. Attain also the param padam, that is going back home, back to Godhead. But generally, that does not happen. And in this 1.17.2, Mataji, can you share 1.17.2 of Bhagavatam?
Yes, Prabhuji, 1.17.
Yeah, 1.17.2. Yeah. I want everybody to see so that. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I think it is 1.2.17. 1.2.17. Yeah. Right. So in this, if you see the second paragraph, so it is mentioned that where is it? Where is it? Yeah, the Lord reciprocally responded to his devotees. When he sees that a devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord and thus becomes eager to hear about him, and Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that the devotee may easily go back to him. So, dadami buddhi yogam tam yena. If somebody is sincere, then dadami buddhi yogam tam. The Lord is more anxious to take us back to his kingdom than we desire. Most of us, 99% of us, do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Prabhupada is not simply writing this. He knows what we are. He knows what sadhakas are. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Only very few men want to go back to Godhead. But anyone who desires to go back to Godhead, Sri Krishna helps in all respects. So this is how the Lord helps. So this entire process of pure devotional service, the Lord is very eager to help the sadhakas to advance. In fact, even when we are not serious, the Lord is very eager to push us. He puts us in trouble so that we take his shelter. This is how he does. Even a neophyte devotee's life is controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is there, it is mentioned in the Varaha Purana, where it is said that the Lord controls the lives not only that of Uttamadhikaris, Madhyama, but also Kanishtha even a neophyte devotee who is practicing the pure devotional process, not the Sahajiyas. Neophyte devotees who are practicing the pure devotional process. He controls their lives also to the extent that he forces them in such a way they may have material desires, just like Dhruva had material desire to have a very high position, and Dhruva underwent this austerities, voluntary austerities, and then the Lord came, and when he touched his head with the shanka, with the conch shell, all his material desires simply vanished, and then he started praying. He started crying tears. His voice was choking. He was crying tears. He was shivering. And he says that Swamin Kritartosmi Varam Nayache. Kachan Vichinvan Apidivya Ratnam Swamin Kritartosmi Varam Nayache. I was looking for kach, broken pieces of glass, but you have given me Divya Ratnam. You have given me yourself, that is a diamond. Swamin Kritartosmi Varam Nayache. I do not want any benedictions from you, my Lord, because the Lord asks him, ask for a benediction. So he says, I don't want anything. I have seen you. After seeing you, I have no desires left. I want you to be my eternal Lord, life after life, eternally. So he was completely purified of all his material desires. So that is the potency of the Lord. Of course, in the age of Kali Yuga, we may not be able to practice austerities like the way Dhruva Maharaj did, but we definitely undergo, tribulations, sufferings, and then the Lord purifies us. For us, waking up early in the morning in the Brahma Muhurta, chanting, performing our sadhana of hearing, reading, all of that is not a big austerity. It is not at all a big austerity. It is not a big thing. Anybody can do it. But our austerity is giving up our material desires, giving up our afflictions, giving up our affection, attachments to so many material hankerings. These things, they act as a detriment in our pure devotional service. So that is where the Lord knows, how to tighten our screws. He is very intelligent. He knows how to control us. A devotee, even a neophyte devotee, just simply by chanting the holy name even once, all his karma is actually burnt. There is no karma. There is no karma even for a neophyte devotee. It is only the Lord who is actually interfering and controlling our life. And he is the one who's giving us happiness and suffering because he wants to make sure that we take his shelter. So he brings about, the suffering in our life. This explanation is very beautifully given in this Yasyam Anugrahnami Harishye Tadhanam Shanai Tato Dhanam Tejantasya Swajano Dukha Dukyatham. We will read that purport. That will give us a very clear explanation of, how the Lord acts in our life. 1 minute. One, 1088.8. Can we open that, Mataji? Ten 88.8. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So, very, very beautiful purport. And I humbly request all devotees to, print this and maybe stick on your wall or on your cupboard or somewhere, so that you can always see this. So you can always relate to what's happening in your life. Never think that my life is controlled by some bad karma or good karma. No, it is controlled by the Lord. And this is the proof. This purport is the proof. Everybody has to print this. So I will read this. You just see, devotees of the Supreme Lord experience both happiness and distress, not as consequences of material work, but as incidental effects of their loving reciprocation with the Lord. You understand? It is because of our devotional service we are experiencing distress and happiness both. Srila Rupa Goswami, he says in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, his definitive treatise on the process of devotional service explains how a Vaishnava is relieved of all karmic reactions, including those that have not yet begun to manifest. One is aprarabdha. There is a big sanchita karma. There is a big whole, baggage of karma. It has 4 types. Aprarabdha, prarabdha, bija, kuta. So, a Vaishnava, once he starts practicing the Navavidha Bhakti, he gets rid of all types of karmic reactions. The Prarabdha is the one to go last. But he gets relieved from Aprarabdham phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukham kramena eva pralayeta Vishnu Bhakti Ratatmanam. Kramena eva, systematically all the karmas are completely destroyed. So he gets rid of Aprarabdha, he gets rid of Kuta, he gets rid of Bija and Prarabdha. So a prarabdha is which is not yet manifest. It can come after several hundreds of lifetimes also. Kuta is something which is going to be manifest within this lifetime or next lifetime. It is waiting to be manifest. And there is bija. Bija has barely started manifesting. That means you have started seeing some signs. Prarabdha is fully manifest. You are experiencing full enjoyment or full suffering of that reaction. That is called as prarabdha. So these are the 4 types. So the Lord destroys all the 4. It is said here, as a lotus gradually loses its petals, many petals, a person who takes shelter or devotional service has all his karmic reactions destroyed. Let me tell you, all the karmic reactions are not destroyed at the time of initiation. दिव्यं ज्ञानं ततो दद्यात् कुर्यात् पापस्य संक्षयं तस्मात् दीक्ष्यति इति प्रोक्ता देशिकैस्तत्त्वकोविदै. Papakshaya. When we take initiation, because of our chanting of the holy name, taking shelter, because of practicing of devotional service as Purascharya, before taking initiation and during initiation, most of the karma is removed, but not all. Some are held back, especially the Kuta is held back. Kuta is nothing but the propensity to commit more pious activities or propensity to commit sinful activity that is held. That is held because the propensity is not removed completely because we are not fully purified. Then the next paragraph says that devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna eradicates all karmic reactions is confirmed in this passage of Gopal Tapani Shruti. It says Bhakti Rasya Bhajanam Yad Ihamutropadi Nairasyenam Amushmin Manah Kalpanam Etadeva Naishkarmyam. Devotional service is the process of worshipping the Lord. It consists of fixing the mind upon Him by becoming disinterested in all material designations, both in this life and the next. It results in the dissolution of all karma. So when we practice devotional service very sincerely, it dissolves all karma. While it is certainly true that those who practice devotional service remain in material bodies. One may question, okay, if all karmas are destroyed, why am I still maintaining the material body? Because material body is a sign of, I still have karma. But it says that it is certainly true that who practices devotional service remains in material bodies and apparently material situations for some time. This is simply an expression of the inconceivable mercy of the Lord who bestows the fruits of devotion only when it has become pure. You understand what it means? That means the Lord is not giving us directly some spiritual body and liberation immediately. We may undergo so many material situations, very bad experiences, good experiences, heavenly pleasure, and horrible situations. We may be forced to think that it is because of my karma, but no. It says it is simply an expression of the inconceivable mercy of the Lord. The Lord is waiting. He is not bestowing the fruits of devotion immediately. He is waiting until our devotion becomes pure. That means He is controlling our life. In every stage of devotion, however, the Lord watches over His devotee. Can you imagine? Don't think that nobody is watching over us. The Lord watches over His devotees in every stage, in neophyte stage, in Madhyama stage, and in Uttama stage. In every stage, the Lord watches over His devotee and sees to the gradual elimination of his karma. Thus, despite the fact that the happiness and distress devotees experience resemble ordinary karmic reactions, they are in fact given by the Lord Himself. So you may be forced to think that, what bad karma I'm going through, I don't know. Why is Lord not removing it? Why is the Lord so, He can do everything, but why is He not removing my bad karma? No, my friends, it is not karma. It is the Lord directly Himself giving it to us to purify us of our anarthas. Because we have taken to His shelter, He will not let go of us. He is like a ghost. He will haunt us till we become purified. That's why Prahlad was known as Krishna Graha Grahit Atma. Graha means ghost. Krishna Graha Grahit Atma means one who is haunted by the ghost of Krishna. So anybody who gets initiated, he is haunted by the ghost, transcendental ghost called as Shri Krishna. He will not let us go until we are purified. So the Bhagavatam 10:87-40 states, Bhavadutta Shubhashubhayo. A mature devotee recognizes the superficial good and bad conditions he encounters as a sign of the direct guidance of his ever well-wishing Lord. That is why a pure devotee, a mature devotee, he recognizes, he says, all the suffering that I'm coming, it is given by Krishna. It is His mercy. He knows it very well. But an immature devotee, he says, why am I suffering so much? Why are my karmic reactions, tormenting me so much? Why is the Lord not helping me? No, we have no karma. It is the Lord who is directly giving us the suffering or happiness. So, immature devotee cannot recognize it, but a mature devotee recognizes whatever is happening in his life is a direct interference of the Lord, who is his well-wishing friend. So, in case of Pandavas, in case of Kunti, in case of Dhruva, Prahlad, and others, Prahlad, the sufferings which a pure devotee undergoes is only because the Lord wants to glorify their greatness, how they, even in such a bad situation, they take complete shelter of the Lord. And the Lord wants to glorify their glorious position as a devotee. But in case of immature devotees, the Lord gives us the same suffering according to our capacity, but that is for purifying our anarthas. There's no question of purifying of anarthas in case of mature devotees. It is only for glorifying them. But in case of us, in case of sadhakas, it is for purifying that the Lord gives us suffering. So the next paragraph. But if the Lord is so compassionate to his devotees, why does he expose them to special suffering? This is answered by an analogy that a very affectionate father takes the responsibility of restricting his children's play and making them go to school. He knows that this is a genuine expression of love for them, even if the child fails to understand. So, the Lord is all merciful, all compassionate. Within a fraction of a second, He can remove all the sufferings. He can keep us happy always. Why is there suffering? Why is He giving suffering to us? The answer is here. The child may not understand why the father is stopping the child from playing and beating him and sending him to school. It is for his own good. In the same way, the Lord is purifying us. We may not understand his expression of love. We may fail to understand. We are immature. A mature devotee can understand, but an immature devotee cannot understand. But it is his compassion, it is his mercy to purify us of all our anarthas, especially when we have a certain anartha, say lust or kama, krodha, or envy or hatred. He will make sure that we come across such a situation, come across such a devotee again and again and again and again until we don't overcome it. This is his plan. I'm 100% sure, all the devotees who are there, who are connected here, all the 38 devotees who are connected here, nobody will say that I'm completely happy. You may be happy in practicing your devotional service, but when it comes to your material situations, I will tell you, nobody is happy. The Lord will make sure that we are not happy, not completely happy. There will be some or the other problem, a relationship problem, health problem, financial problem, this problem, that problem, neighbor problem, or office. Anything will be there, but and we should have this vision to understand and learn that the Lord is actually targeting our anartha. I am having a problem with something, the Lord is helping me to overcome that anartha. That is why he's giving me suffering. Suppose, I have a lot of problem with my boss at the workplace, in the office, or with I'm having a trouble with the neighbor, who's always, creating trouble for me. It means I have an anartha of probably disrespecting other jivas. I may be having an anartha of not properly reciprocating with other living entities. I may have caused a lot of suffering to others in the past because of my behavior. That is the reason why the Lord, makes sure that we get extra suffering than any other ordinary living entities. Why? Because we realize, we take his shelter more and more, we overcome that anartha so that we can go back to him quickly. He is not so merciful in case of ordinary living entities. So that way he targets, somebody is a victim of anger or lust. He'll make sure that, we come across such bad situations again and again and again until, we get rid of it. Okay, coming back to the purport. Similarly, the Supreme Lord Vishnu is mercifully strict with all his dependents, not only with immature devotees struggling to become qualified. He is strict with all, Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Kanishtadhikari. Don't think that only the Kanishtas are suffering. The Uttamas are suffering because he wants to glorify them, as it is said here. Even Prahlad, Dhruva, Yudhishthira subjected great tribulations for their glorification. After the battle of Kurukshetra, Bhishma described to Yudhishthira, Yatta dharma suto raja gada panir vrikodara Krishnos trigandivam chapam suhrit Krishnastato vipat Nahyasya karhichidrajan puman veda vidhitsitam yad vijigyasaya yukta muhyanti kavayopihi. Where there is Dharmasutta, the son of Dharma personified, Yudhishthira, is present, where the most powerful Bhima, Vrikodara, is present, where Krishna, that is Arjuna, is present with Gandhiva, where he can subdue anybody. And forget that, all of them. Krishna is present with all these Pandavas ever, always, because he is their worshipable deity and they are all his pure devotees. Suhrit Krishna Tato Vipat, in spite of all the situations, still they have undergone Vipat. Vipat is nothing but suffering. How is it possible? Then Bhishma says, Nahi yasya karhi chidrajan puman veda vidhitsitam Nobody can understand this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yad vijigyasaya yukta muhyanti kavayopihi. If you try to endeavor to understand him, if you try to do jigyasa, then you will become more bewildered. Muhyanti kavayopihi. Even great souls, great rishi, munis, demigods have become bewildered trying to understand Krishna. Who are we? So how he plans, why he plans, nobody can understand. Why they underwent so much of suffering, nobody can understand. But yes, we have the explanation of the Acharyas. All great souls undergo suffering only because the Lord wants to glorify them. It is as simple as that. How they take his shelter with double vigor when they are put in trouble or suffering. So this way, I'm just skipping this entire translation. I'll go to the next paragraph. Although a Vaishnava's happiness and distress are felt as pleasure and pain, just like ordinary karmic reactions, they are different in a significant sense. It may appear like ordinary karmic reactions, but it is not. Material happiness and distress arising from karma leave a subtle residue, the seed of future entanglement. Such enjoyment and suffering tend toward degradation and increase the danger of falling into hellish oblivion. If it was karmic reaction of happiness and suffering, by reacting to it, we would have created more karmic reactions. But that is not the case. The suffering that we experience because the Lord has given us, we experience it in such a way that again in the future we'll never have such suffering. Because we'll be completely be purified of all our anarthas. The root, the propensity, the tendency of committing sin is completely uprooted. That is why. So such enjoyment and suffering tend towards degradation. Okay. Happiness and distress generated from the Supreme Lord's desires, however, have no trace after their immediate purpose has been served. The purpose is to purify us. Moreover, the Vaishnava who enjoys such a reciprocation with the Lord is in no danger of falling down into nescience. As Yamaraj, the Lord of Death and the judge of all departed souls, declares. You know what is the meaning of this? It means anybody who chants the holy name even once, he will never go to hell. So, the suffering that we are experiencing is not because of karma. That is what is being stressed here. The suffering is not because of our karma. Even if we are a neophyte devotee, it is not because of our karma. It is given by the Lord. So don't be scared that I have some ghora karma. That is why I am suffering very horribly. Maybe I have to go to hell. No, we will never go to hell. Why? Because Yamaraj is saying, जिह्वा न भक्ति भगवद्गुणनामधेयं चेतश्च न स्मरति यच्चरणारविन्दं कृष्णाय नो नमति यक्षिर एकदापि नानानयद्धमसतो कृतविष्णुकृत्यान् ekadapi, even once somebody has chanted Krishna from his mouth, even once somebody has remembered the pastimes of the Lord, even once somebody has offered a dandavat in a temple, he will never go to hell. Yamaraja has directed his Yamadutas that you should never approach such a person. That is why you can realize how India's population is always very high, very big. You know why? Even though they are not devotees, majority of them, and they have named so many of their family members as Narayana, Vishnu, Krishna, Rama. So they somehow or the other they have been chanting. So luckily they've been getting human birth again and again and again and again, not having to go to hell. So the population of India is too much. This is an example, how, anyone who's taken the name of Lord, he doesn't have to see hellish. So if we are going through some horrible suffering, it's not because of our karma. We don't have to worry of going to hell because we will never go to hell. It is only because the Lord has given us to purify our anarthas. Provided we are practicing Navavidha Bhakti, pure devotional service in a bona fide sampradaya. That is the rule. Okay, I'll skip that. I'll go to the next paragraph. The beloved devotees of the Lord.
ಕುಂಭಮೇಳ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದಾರಂತೆ
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಮಾತಾಜಿ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ, ನಾನು ಬರ್ತೀನಿ. The beloved devotees of the Lord do not regard as very troublesome the suffering he imposes on them. Indeed, they find that in the end it gives rise to unlimited pleasure. Just as a stinging ointment applied by a physician cures his patient's eye. In addition, suffering helps protect the confidentiality of devotional service by discouraging intrusions by the faithless, and it also increases the eagerness with which the devotees call upon the Lord to appear. You understood this? It means when the Lord gives us suffering, the devotee suffers. Then outsiders, what they think, oh, this fellow is chanting Hare Krishna, whole life I saw. 20 years I've seen, our relatives, they speak like this. But look at him, how much he's suffering. It's such a useless waste of time. He's been worshipping Lord Krishna. What is the use of chanting? What is the use of running, wearing dhoti and running around, going to temple? You're still continuing to suffer that disease. You have not overcome. That is how the non-devotees, those who are faithless, they are discouraged from having to enter into this bhakti. It is only the faithful who knows in reality, how the workings of devotional service are, how the Lord actually reciprocates with his devotees, how he gives sufferings to purify them of their anarthas and take them back. This is not accessible to the non-devotees. That is why not many are interested in bhakti. They think it is a waste of time. So just to keep them away, just to discourage such people, the Lord has, very lovingly, he's brought this siddhanta or tattva of giving suffering to his devotees so that, they take his shelter. The devotees of Lord Vishnu are complacently placed happy all the time. He would never have a reason to appear in this world as Krishna, Rama, Narsimha. See, if we are always happy, then why the Lord will come? Here only, it becomes Vaikuntha. But no, because when we are in distress, then we'll call out for the Lord, and the Lord comes, and the Lord will protect us. So that way, Paritranaya Sadhunam, we hear this in Bhagavad Gita. So, and without the Lord showing himself on earth in his original form of Krishna and in the forms of various incarnations, his faithful servants in this world would have no opportunity to enjoy his Rasalila and other pastimes. So, Lord will not appear when they are in distress. When they are in happiness, the Lord will not appear and they will not have any opportunity to partake in his pastimes, like a Ras Leela and so many other Leelas. That is why suffering, distress is integral part of devotional service. If we are not suffering, if we are not in distress materially, then there is something wrong. There is some problem. We are not practicing devotional service. So there should be suffering and distress in our material life, not in spiritual life. Spiritual life will be blissful. But our attachments, our inclinations, our afflictions towards matter is where, the Lord will, they say in Hindi, right, dukti rak par haath rakna. So like that, he knows where our pain point is. He will make sure he will keep touching that again and again until we say, oh, enough, I don't want it. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur here counters a possible objection. Somebody may object. What do they say? What fault would there be in Lord's incarnating for some other reason other than delivering saintly persons from suffering? Okay, what is wrong? Why the Lord is always putting devotees in suffering and he'll come only to deliver them from suffering? Can't he come for any other reason? Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, yes, my dear brother, this makes good sense, but you are not expert in understanding the spiritual mood. Please listen. It is at night that the sunrise becomes very attractive. It is during hot summer, cold water gives us comfort. During cold winters, the warm water gives us is very pleasing. Lamplight appears very attractive in darkness, not in the glaring light of day. And when one is in distress by hunger, food tastes especially good. In other words, to strengthen his devotees' mood of dependence on him and longing for him, the Lord arranges for his devotees to go through some suffering. And when he appears, in order to deliver them, their gratitude and transcendental pleasure are boundless. This is what happens. I'm sorry, I took too much of time. I'll quickly finish off. I will not explain anything. I'll quickly finish off 62, 63, 64, 65 for you to ponder over it and think about it. 62. Where is 62? I'm just trying to
Is the screen visible? 4.8.62.
Yes, Mataji.
It is,
Prabhuji, Mataji
I'm
is sharing the screen, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
yeah, 1 second, Mataji. Okay. इत्युक्तस्तं परिक्रम्य प्रणम्य च नृपा नृपार्भकः ययौ मधुवनं पुण्यं हरेश्चरणचर्चितम्. Yes. Purport, please. Sorry, translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation, Mataji, Vasudha Mataji, you can read. Purport, Shilpa Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Right.
When translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Dhruva Maharaj, the son of the king, was thus advised by the great sage Narada, he circumambulated Narada, his spiritual master, and offered him respectful obeisances. Then he started for Madhuvana, which is always imprinted with the lotus footprints of the Lord Krishna, and which is therefore especially auspicious. Hare Krishna. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Self-explanatory. We'll go to the next.
Shilpa Mataji, you can read the shloka, Mataji.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Tapovanam gate tasmin pravishtontah puram munihi arahitar harano ko ragya sukhasina jvachatam. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Sarika
Krishna.
Mataji, you can. Yes, Mataji, you can call out.
Hare Krishna. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the translation. And Sarika Mataji, the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After Dhruva entered Madhuvana forest to execute devotional service, the great sage Narada thought it wise to go to the king to see how he was faring within the palace. When Narada Muni approached the king, received him properly, offering him due obeisances. After being seated comfortably, Narada began to speak. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mother.
So, Narada, you can go to next. Narada, after sending Dhruva to the forest, he went to Uttanapada just to see, what is his mood. Let's read, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Narada uvacha Rajan kim dhyayasya dirgham mukhena parishusyata kim vana rishiyate kamo dharmo varthena samyutah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Aditi Mataji, you can read the translation. Suma Mataji, the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. The great sage Narada inquired, my dear king, for your appearance he to be withering up, and you look like you have been thinking of something for very long time. Why is that? Have you been hampered in following your path of religious rites, economics development, and sense gratification? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Dandat Pranams. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. The 4 stages of advancement of human civilization are religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and for some, the stage of liberation. Narada Muni did not inquire from the king about this liberation, but only regarding the state of management, which is meant for advancement of the 3 principles: religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification. Since those who engage in such activities are not interested in liberation, Narada did not inquire from the king about this. Liberation is meant for persons who have lost all interest in religious, ritualistic ceremonies, economic development, and sense gratification. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Yeah. So you can go to next. So here it is very clear that Narada asked him about Dharmartha Kama, but not about moksha, because Uttanapada was nowhere interested in it because he was attached to his wife. That itself is a proof that he was nowhere interested in moksha. And his wife also was like that only, Suruchi, where, she was envious that, my son is the one who should be the king and not, Dhruva. So that was the character of these two great personalities who are non-different. Uttanapada is directly the grandson of Brahma. In the beginning of the creation, this is the situation. Can you imagine? In the beginning of the creation, in the Swayambhuva Manvantara, grandson of Brahma this is the situation, envy, hatred, attachment, affliction, all this was there. Even this was there with the son of Brahma, like Daksha also. Daksha also was envious. He was very religious, but he was nowhere interested in, emancipation from this world. So it doesn't mean just because, we are right after Brahma, we are, his sons or grandsons, or we are in the beginning, or we are in the Satya Yuga, that, I become, qualified to be a great soul and I go back. No, it is all about individual consciousness. Individual consciousness. Somebody living in the middle of Kali Yuga, but his consciousness can be, of very high quality, where, he's completely surrendered devotee. And he'll be eligible to go back to Krishna. Yeah, we'll finish this 65.
Hare Krishna, Shilpa Mataji, you read the shloka, Suma Mataji translation, and I'll read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. राजोवाच सुतो मे बालको ब्रह्मन् स्त्रैणेनाकरुणात्मना निर्वासितः पञ्चवर्षः सः मात्रा महान् कविः. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna, translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The king replied, O best of the Brahmanas, I am very much addicted to my wife, and I am so fallen that I have abandoned all merciful behavior, even to my son, who is only 5 years old. I have banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother.
Hare Krishna, purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In this verse, there are some specific words which are to be understood very carefully. The king said that since he was very much addicted to his wife, he had lost all his mercy. That is a result of becoming too affectionate toward women. The king had 2 wives. The first wife was Suniti and the second was Suruchi. He was too attached to the second wife, however, so he could not behave well with Dhruva Maharaj. That was a cause of Dhruva's leaving home to perform austerities. Although as a father the king was affectionate towards his son, he minimized his affection for Dhruva Maharaj because he was too much addicted to the second wife. Now he was repenting that both Dhruva Maharaj and his mother Suniti were practically banished. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest, and since his mother was being neglected by the king, she was therefore almost banished also. The king repented having banished his boy. For Dhruva was only 5 years old, and a father should not banish his wife and children or neglect their maintenance. Repentant over his neglect of both Suniti and her son, he was morose, and his face appeared withered. According to Manusmriti, one should never desert his wife and children. In a case where the wife and children are disobedient and do not follow the principles of home life, they are sometimes given up. But in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, this was not applicable because Dhruva was very mannerly and obedient. Moreover, he was a great devotee. Such a person is never to be neglected. Yet the king was obliged to banish him. Now he was very sorry. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So it sounds like Uttanapada did very bad parenting. It sounds like some parental abuse in Kali Yuga, something like that. But yeah, this happened during the time of Swayambhu Manvantara, the beginning of the creation. Thank you very much. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is all self-explanatory, so I have not explained much on this. If anybody has any questions, you can ask. So the lesson that we learned, the summary is that, although Dhruva was having material desires, the Lord purified him. So it is the same in our case. We may experience a lot of suffering and this and that, but it is sure enough, we should know that it is the Lord's plan to purify us. We should not have even an iota of doubt in what we are going through. And sometimes because of our own stubborn attitude of having to clinging on to all the anarthas, we may take several lifetimes, ignoring the pleas and requests and endeavors of the Supreme Lord to purify us. We delay it. He never delays it. He's more eager to take us back than we are eager to go to him. Okay, yeah. Open for questions, anybody?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. We could understand the value of the words that Prabhupada has written in this. When you narrated everything, Prabhuji, we can connect. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. for Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, we will ask questions, Prabhuji. Any Matajis? Padma Mataji, you can ask the question. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, wonderful class. Very well explained, Prabhuji, so much in detail. About this Kuta and Bija, Kuta I understood, Prabhuji. This is the propensity to commit mistakes. Also, waiting to manifest. But
Correct.
Bija, I didn't get it properly. Prabhuji, can you just tell me in short?
Bija is already slowly the sign of the reaction has started to appear.
Okay.
Yeah, it has slowly started to appear. Like, for example, somebody may have committed a murder. Now he knows that he will be, he has to spend his life in the prison. So he gets his reaction initially in the form of, a court case where, he has to go, he's in the custody, and then he has, so that is like the beginning of the reaction. He knows there is much more big thing waiting for him immediately after some time. So it is the beginning stages of the reaction. He has a hint, he gets a hint about it.
Okay, Prabhuji. And that means the prarabdha is like present
Prarabdha
suffering.
is fully manifest,
Okay.
fully undergoing the suffering or happiness.
Okay, and aprarabdha means it is yet to come.
It is yet to come. Maybe can take several years.
After 10 years, yeah, after 100 years even. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji.
No.
Hare Krishna Mataji, you can ask the doubt, Mataji. Neha Mataji. Neeta Mataji. Hare Krishna, sorry.
Hare Krishna. Pranam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, actually, I want to know, you said once if you chant Hare Krishna, then Yamadut never comes. But what about those people? They are chanting also, but still eating non-veg. What can be said for that?
Very interesting. Yeah. They don't necessarily go to hellish reaction, but they are also not liberated. They don't get an opportunity. But if they offend Vaishnavas, there are chances that they may also go to hellish, and they may also go experience hellish reactions, hellish punishment. So it is possible because they are not practicing devotional service in a bona fide sampradaya. But when it comes to a practitioner, sadhaka practicing in bona fide sampradaya devotional service, although he may have so much of anarthas or he may be, committing sin, there's no question of he going to hellish planet. But of course, we shouldn't, we don't generally explain this because that will give a license for somebody to, perform the seventh offense of namnod bala yasyahi papa buddhi. So that should never happen, because when that happens, when we practice bhakti on the strength of when we commit sin on the strength of practicing bhakti, then that person also becomes eligible to go to hellish planets. So that is why it is only unknowingly somebody is like, Ajamila, he chanted the holy name. It was Namabhas. Unknowingly, he chanted the holy name and he was liberated. In the same way, unknowingly, so many of us in India, on the general population, they are calling Vishnu, Narayana, Hari, this, that, so many things. So, because of chanting unknowingly, without, being aware that, oh, this is protecting me from having to go to hell, and not committing further sinful activities. If they casually are chanting, they're actually protected from not having to go to hell. This is what happens. I hope you understood, what is Namabhas and
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Devotee suffers because of their anarthas, no, Prabhuji, after coming to bhakti, after we take to bhakti, path of bhakti. So I just wanted to know, Prabhuji, it is useful for one who knows that he has this anartha, but what if one is not aware of his anarthas, Prabhuji? So how can he progress, Prabhuji?
True, sometimes we don't know our own anarthas, and the Lord knows much better than us. So He knows what medicine to be given to us. So whatever, one thing is very clear, That is, whatever we are experiencing in our life, especially the suffering, whatever we are experiencing, is actually targeted towards our anarthas. It's as simple as that. If that is happening to us, then we should know that, okay, I have an anartha which is related to this. We can come to that conclusion. So that way, one can purify himself. Nobody can say I have no anarthas, because we all definitely know, what is our weak point, what is our weakness, what is our, what are our virtues and what are our vices. We are very well aware of it. But even if we are not aware, then we should, pray to the Lord. We should seek His help to purify us of all those anarthas which we are not even aware of. And as I said, that suffering is actually targeted at our anarthas only. The meaning of suffering is nothing but targeting the anarthas. It's as simple as that. You name it, I will tell you what the anartha is. Anybody tell me, what suffering you are going through? Of course, if you want to, but that will tell what anartha we have. It's as simple as that. Some financial problems, too many financial problems, going on. Clear attachment to money is the anartha. Somebody is addicted to some sinful activity. Clear attachment to that activity. Simple. It's very as simple as that. So there's no doubt about it.
Then health issue, Prabhuji?
Health issues, yeah. So health issue is definitely either it is we have overindulged our senses in sense gratification, or we have caused suffering to others, which has spoiled their health. So now,
Okay.
we are getting reactions for it.
Okay, thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
for something we have done in our past, how can we keep suffering, suffering in this lifetime,
Past is
Prabhuji? Like,
long
because we
gone.
have taken,
No karma. No karma is there for a devotee practicing in bona fide sampradaya.
what is the possible way, Prabhuji, we can repent for and pray for them, no, Prabhuji? So
Yeah,
that will.
we repent, we pray to the Lord, we express our gratitude, we thank the Lord, we move up the ladder from immature to mature devotee, and we become blissful, when there are sufferings, because I know now my Lord is directly involved in my life. So it no longer disturbs me. It was some gore karma, then I have to worry, Krishna, why are you not looking at me? But that is not the case.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one more doubt, Prabhuji. Like, I just wanted to know from the perspective of Shastras, Prabhuji, like how we see that many in the stories, like they have married two women. And so I just wanted to know, Prabhuji, anything about marriage, like why do they marry two, three like that? And
Okay.
then again, they abandon them like that only. So why is it, Prabhuji? Like,
Abandoning part is different, but
yes.
polygamy is not wrong. It is not bad. It was practiced in Vedic culture, and polygamy was there very much prevalent in the Kshatriya community. And even the Brahmanas also, they would marry multiple times for certain situations, for certain conditions. There was no such thing called as divorce earlier. And if a person had the capacity to maintain one, two, three, he would marry, even if he is a Brahmana. So Brahmanas in the past had, more than one wife. Uh, but now in the age of Kali Yuga, everything is topsy and turvy. Unless you are not divorced, you cannot marry another person and things like that. So that's a different thing. For a woman, Prabhupada writes in this beautiful purport in the 7th canto, I think in the 15th chapter, where he says that for women to marry multiple times is equal to prostitution, but for men, that rule is not applicable. That is how, the Vedic culture is designed. So, and what else? But yeah, coming back to your question, where, somebody who is marrying, multiple women with the intention of cheating them, or with the intention of enjoying them, then obviously it's very clear that he will be implicated. He'll be implicated in a sinful reaction. If he's maintaining them and taking care of them responsibly, then with that responsibility, then there is nothing wrong.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. We'll
Hare
connect with the
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Mataji, is there a scope
Although it
of
is not
asking one
practiced in
question?
Bollywood, I'm
Yes,
just
Mataji. Hare Krishna. I didn't see
Hare
your
Krishna.
hand.
Prabhuji, in Satyug also this 4 regulative principles were breached, right? If you say that illicit sex and all, then what? I mean, I know, I mean, I'm too neophyte to understand, but then the 4th principle is not being observed, no? The Shaucha principle, Prabhuji.
no. In the age of Satya Yuga, it is very, very easy to follow all the 4 regulative principles.
Still,
Nobody.
they were not followed, no, Prabhuji. That's what I'm saying. Still, they were not followed. It was easy to follow. People around you were good. There were less distractions. Still,
Correct.
it was not followed, Prabhuji, is
No,
what I'm
everybody
saying.
followed. Who
Like
didn't
they
follow?
do have 2, 3 wives, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Lord Rama had 3 wives.
Yeah. So that was not uh, illicit sex, Prabhuji.
Which one? Sorry, I didn't.
So marrying more than one wife
Uh-huh.
wouldn't fall into the principle of Shauch.
No, no. Polygamy was allowed. Polygamy is integral part of Vedic culture. It is
So
not
we don't
considered.
know Vedas too deeply to understand why polygamy was allowed, maybe. So yeah. Okay. Hare
There is
Krishna.
nothing wrong with polygamy, but in the age of
Nowadays, Prabhuji, people are taking advantage of this polygamy.
exactly. So in the age of Kali Yuga, we have degraded consciousness.
Yes.
So in case if somebody is engaging in multiple marriages and only with the intention of enjoying without any responsibility, then he's a sinful person. That is how it is. Vasudev, who is the father of Lord Krishna, he had 17 wives. Not because he was lusty or anything. He was a pure devotee of the Lord. Kshatriya dharma is anybody who comes and seeks refuge and takes shelter, that king has to marry that person. Arjuna had 4 wives. Ulupi, Chitrangada, Subhadra, Draupadi. Bhima had 2 wives. Hidimba, she was a demoness. Because she took shelter of Bhima, Kunti said, you have to marry her. She has taken your shelter and you're a Kshatriya. Unlimited number of examples are there.
But Prabhuji, in Arjuna's case, they didn't come to him like for shelter.
Yeah, they took his shelter, no? Draupadi, Swayamvar, then Chitrangada
Yeah,
when
Draupadi is different.
Hmm.
Draupadi is different case because the mother said, share all of you, all
Correct.
you brothers. But what
Right.
about the other 2? Subhadra was Krishna's sister.
Yeah, he was attracted to her, and she took shelter of him. She wanted to be, his wife. That is how Krishna arranged him to kidnap her.
And the other 2, what happened, Prabhuji?
Chitrangada and Ulupi. Yeah, Ulupi was the daughter of in the the Nagaloka, I think. Yeah, and then Chitrangada, the princess in this Manipur state. So it was all during his adventures when he went. When a Kshatriya is sought after by a woman, then it is as good as she taking shelter of him. He cannot refuse.
Oh.
Hare
Uttara
Krishna.
did that to Arjuna.
Prabhuji also Darsharat Maharaj, when Parshuram went killing all the kings, that time he also all the time kept marrying, so that because that was one rule that Parshuram would follow, that if anybody is in the process of marriage, he can't kill. So to save his life, Darsharat kept engaging in that process of marriage, Prabhuji. How would we see that?
Actually, Dasharatha, there are 2 Dasharathas. Before Dasharatha, there was Aja. Aja, before Aja, there was Raghu. Before Raghu, there was another Dasharatha. Dasharatha 1, Dasharatha 2. So, Dasharatha 2 was the father of Ramachandra Bhagwan. That Dasharatha had only 4 sons. Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughan. The previous Dasharatha, who was coming in the Surya Vamsha, he had 350 wives. He had married them because they acted as Nari Kavacha. They acted as Kavacha for him. Why? Because Parashuram was on a killing spree He went around the world killing all the Kshatriyas 21 times. But as per the Vedic culture, nobody can kill or punish a woman. So this Dasharatha, he protected himself with the help of women because women were always surrounding him. So Parashuram could not kill. He thought, he is among the women, what can I do? He just left. Although he was a pious king. That is the explanation.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Is it
Prabhuji.
applicable only for the men, Prabhuji?
What? Polygamy, Mataji?
Marrying several, having
Yes.
several. Hare
Having
Krishna.
several wives because he can give protection to them. So polygamy was allowed for man. Man can have multiple wives, but for a woman, it is not recommended. It is not allowed because it will be considered as prostitution if she remarries. But still, there are exceptions. Like Marisha was there; she had 10 husbands. And Draupadi was there; she had 5 husbands. But their consciousness was pure. There are certain rules and regulations also. It comes in the Mahabharata. How if a woman is having multiple husbands, what is her consciousness? How is she serving her different husbands? But this is exceptional cases, but not a general rule for women.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I had this doubt of Draupadi marrying 5 men, so I had to
We have
ask this.
Marisha
Hare
also. The Prachetas had only one wife, Marisha. She was
Hare
the daughter of Kandu Muni and Pramalocha. So, although, she was one single husband, there are certain rules, we can't get into the details of the rules, how one person has to be with one husband for 1 year and certain things like that. Then it is allowed. All those things cannot be practiced in the age of Kali Yuga. It will all be prostitution. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for patiently answering all our questions. We will end the session, Prabhuji. It's already time. Hare Krishna. We'll end with the prayer, Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evcha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to Prabhuji. Wonderful
Thank you,
session,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you all Mataji and
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Pranams to all.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Hare
Dandavad.
Krishna.